Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're watching Allastrology. We are going to take a look at the week of March 16th and the following 7 days. We got Chiron and Aries on the chart. Aries is known to be similar to Mars energy, so we call her Mars's sister. Angry, mad Aries, conjunct Chiron. These are both in Aries, so we're going to talk about that because they make a move this week. We're also going to talk a little bit about Mercury, and we'll touch in on Jupiter and Mars. And then we have a new moon this week. We do have a separate video for the new moon. If you haven't seen that, you might want to go and check that out to give you a little bit more of a deep dive. Mercury sitting at 8 degrees. Now, the difference is Mercury's retrograde this week will end. So on the 20th, Mercury will go direct at 8 degrees, which is where the moon's nodes are sitting at 8 degrees, is super detective energy because it's Mercury. What am I learning? What are we talking about? What are we sharing? What are we communicating? The South Node talks about the past. It's domestic energy because it's in Virgo. So we think of, I don't know. We think of people who serve others in a very personal way, one-on-one service. Sometimes these can be people within the service industry, like hotels and restaurants, but people who come clean in your home. These are healthcare givers, people who provide even, alternative modalities for healing, massage, masseuse. We think that kind of energy when we think of Virgo energy. Remember, it is the details, it's the data, it's very meticulous, Virgo. It's a focus, overly critical, right? Virgo wants to be perfect in every little thing she does and says, and just everything about her should be refined to the point of perfection. That's one of the Virgo qualities. And this speaks to the past, trauma from the past. And it is the abuse degree as well, abuse of power of others. 8 degrees. History. This is sexual trauma. So we think of all the Epstein stuff. And the South Node, a superpower of some sort, something we're really good at. The 8 degrees, we're really good at digging. Remember, we think mind, Mercury. Mercury's the ruler of Virgo. Fascinating because Mercury's also up here conjunct this North Node. So we really have Mercury at both ends, and a Mercury standing still at 8 degrees, the super detective degree, a digger, a researcher, an excavator, right? So we think of New Mexico and that ranch. Okay, I also wanted to add in here that 8 degrees of the North and the South Node and Mercury talks about what we drill for, oil, and of course the battle for the Strait of Hormuz. New moon is on the 18th. It is a new moon in Pisces energy. It's a new beginning. There's some sort of a new beginning here, and it's at 28 degrees. And that's a big deal because 28 degrees is a moon degree. Strong feminine energy, women, the past. So this week has a strong vibration for water and memory and history, feminine energy, childhood, home, family, right? And a new beginning. It's Pisces. Possibly new beliefs, possibly new dreams about the future, possibly ideas and ideals, new ideology even about what we hold to be the truth. Because it's Pisces, who after all wants us to be able to see clearly through the illusions and the delusions. On the 20th of this week, Aries season begins. That means the sun moves into Aries energy. The sun will be at 0 degrees in Aries. So from the 19th to the 18th, That means we have the sun at 28 degrees in Pisces. Right. That was the new moon degree I spoke of. And that was the new beginning. So think about this now. That new moon and that new beginning is conjunct the 29 degrees, which is considered a critical degree, which is conjunct the world access point. And I go into a little bit more detail about that on the other video. But the point is, there should be something big going on this week. These can be members of politics, public figures, politicians, royalty, even because it's Pisces energy, entertainers, right? Actors, performances. This is all Pisces stuff. So usually the rich and the famous, the wealthy. This can be religious leaders, but it can again be that ideology and that sort of faith and hope, and even using the shroud, even using the cover, the veil of religion to push forward somebody else's agenda. On the 19th, being conjunct Neptune, because Neptune's at 1 degrees there, the sun is an authority figure. And when you have the sun, an authority figure, being conjunct Neptune, part of governments possibly, we may see somebody disappear. A figurehead, a public figurehead. Somebody may be fired. Somebody, who knows? Someone may fall out a window. Someone may suddenly hang themselves. Who the hell knows? This is somebody in charge. This can make that somebody in charge disappear, or it looks very confusing. It's changed its shape. It's changed its form. We don't recognize them anymore. That's the power of Neptune. In Aries, it could be some military head, somebody in charge of the military. This can look a lot of different ways, folks. It could even be that somebody in charge of the Department of Justice. It can be that as well. Okay. So, or Department of War, I think is what I meant. Anyway, that's just to give you a heads up for the beginning of the week. Chiron and Aries sitting here at 24 degrees together. I've talked about this. I've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, telling you guys that this is going to make a move. And it makes a move this week. They go from 24 degrees to 25 degrees. 24 degrees was like institutional energy. Pisces energy ends at 24 and it goes to Aries energy when both Chiron and Aries, angry Aries, feminine energy, by the way, Mars's sister, these will both go to 25 this week. So they're in Aries, my appearance, my body, my freedom. Strong feminine energy, angry feminine energy, because it hasn't had a seat at the table. Think about all the victims. Think about all of the Trump Epstein victims, or that class anyway, however you want to define it. Think about all their victims. Angry. The survivors, those who are still alive, angry, and their wounds. These two have been traveling together for a reason. And since they have been, their stories have really taken front and center. Although the news cycles are so extreme, they get pushed to the back. At the new 25 degrees, it really puts a strong emphasis on body. The body, my body, their body, my freedoms, my body autonomy. That's number 25. Yes, it is the Martian degree. It is the Aries degree. It is the I am going to fight degree. I'm not going to give up. So it can have a lot to do with all the battles and the wars that are going on, and all the shit stirring that the United States is doing and the bombing that they're doing. That could be part of this story as well. But Aries, angry because she's been ignored and has never been listened to. Always been treated as though she did not count and that she didn't matter. That is strong energy here. So that starts on the 20th. Okay. So far we've heard a lot of things that start on the 20th. This whole week, we have Jupiter in Cancer energy, the public, feminine energy, feelings, emotions, childhood, and the past, Jupiter and Cancer, trining Mars energy. It's a trine with Mars, bodies, my body, your body, my freedom. So Jupiter and Mars big this week in a trine, in a trine. This can be justice, possibly justice for the bodies, justice for soldiers, justice. This can be action overseas because it's military and bodies. And this can be, Jupiter energy, but let's not forget judges and courtrooms. This can be that. So on the chart, you're looking at Mars starting the week at 11 degrees, starting at 11, which means it's trining Jupiter beautifully right at the beginning of the week. We have a very strong trine between Jupiter and Mars. And with that strong trine between those two, let's hope and pray that there is some justice. Justice for victims, justice for anybody that's been done wrong. Let's hope that we see some justice and where it feels tangible, like palpable, like we're like, yes, it's happening. The tide is definitely turning. Let's keep our fingers crossed and let's hope and pray that the victims and that the truth comes to the surface.